But when I knew that those guys were involved in this incident and the outcome that happened, I wasn't surprised. I figured this is just how they do business.
The training that they've undertaken throughout their careers, just the amount of cohesion, tactically sound judgment, just the confidence that they have in their abilities to respond to an incident like we saw on January 1st. Rupert comes from a lineage of Chandler PD. Rupert's father was killed in the line of duty on a SWAT operation, and just hearing that he was involved in the shooting really just set chills up my spine. But I was also extremely proud that we had both of them there for that incident.
I heard the call kick out, and it was very much like trying to decipher based off the subject statements, like if he was indicating that he wanted to harm himself and his child.
As I was coming up to the scene, I was listening to all the radio traffic. I had been to that residence and dealt with this specific individual 2 days prior. Cleared the inside of his residence with my dog, and I knew he had kids. They weren't there at that time, but I knew when he was saying he had kids, he mentioned he had a knife and his intent was to harm his daughter.
When he pulled into the parking lot, I already started undoing all my stuff and kind of starting to just really in my head slow things down and start paying attention to what we're going to do. And that's when I got out and gave a quick command to stop moving, police don't move. And that's when I saw the kid, the daughter, the girl, for the first time. I saw like the vehicle shaking around, like somebody moving inside, and then I see two additional like little extremities, like feet or legs or something, coming from behind, like in the back seat, over into the front.
You could hear screaming. I knew that the kid was in there. At that time, I didn't see her get pulled up front, but I could see her up in the front. You could see through the glass, see her in the front, him holding her up in front of himself, like shielding himself with her. So, and knew he had a knife. I
knew the resources were there, and like the talent, if you will, the guys that knew what to do with this were there. It was just like, hey guys, like get up here. Like this is gonna start happening real quick. We're confirmed. He said that the kid's in the car with him, and I can see the kid. We're gonna push. I can very clearly see him using his daughter to shield us from him, basically. So. Kind of has his head scrunched up, and he's basically turning her and trying to track us with her. But that's when I see the knife and that he was holding a knife to her throat. And so I immediately dropped the taser, went to my own sidearm, and then we pushed right to the door. And I reached out and knobbed the door, and it opened. The shooting occurred at that point. And I can't help but talk about it now, where it's like, all I know is I had discharged my weapon, was trying to keep the girl pushed up, separated, right? Like, push her out of the way so that I'm effectively able to deliver the rounds from my weapon without further jeopardizing her, right? And we're talking about touch distance, like almost climbing in. I remember my knee kneeling on the floorboard, so I'm in the car at this point. And I just remember seeing a Glock handgun come over my right shoulder, and that weapon discharges, and I later find out that's Dallin. It was clearly effective at that point. We knew that we had done, that part of it was done, and so at that point was able to regain, kind of always had a hand on her, but then came back and then grabbed her again, was able to secure my weapon and then pull her from the car. I turned around and just pulled her in tight, turned around and took off.
The training we get to go through, and then working around these guys all the time, we just trusting one another, knowing that your buddy, your partner next to you is going to do their job.
Effective communication, decisiveness, and critical thinking are critical components of successfully navigating the policing career. When you layer those concepts with years of tactical training and real-life deployments, you have the ingredients to successfully have an outcome on a once-in-a-lifetime call for service. On January 1st, Officers Snedeker and Bacon were inserted into that very scenario. And they performed exactly as how we knew they would, precisely and swiftly. Their actions saved the life of a 7-year-old girl that night.
This little girl she's the one who really paid for this experience or for us to be sitting here, and she's the one who, in my opinion, she deserves way more than either one of us ever should. You know?
Their actions and their continued humility changed the life of a terrified 7-year-old girl. Officers Snedeker and Bacon represent the very best of the Chandler Police Department, and they're very deserving of this award from the 100 Club.